Hey everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Bullets Sports Spotlight. This week we'll be featuring the Bullets wrestling program, and joining me today is head coach Gino Frank. Now, Gino is in his first year as head coach at Gettysburg, but he's been around campus as long as I have, entering his 14th year overall with the Orange and Blue. Gino, welcome to this week's edition of Bullets Sports Spotlights. How are you doing?
Thanks, Corey. I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome to have you on here. Kind of a depressing day, raining in the mid-state as we converse here. Gino, just quick, I want to give the people at home a quick update on where you've been. You're 1995 Bucknell grad, representing for those history majors like myself. Of course, you've been all around in the wrestling coaching world, doing a lot of Greco-Roman stuff. I know you were at Team Pennsylvania, Minnesota when you were working with the Minnesota Storm, Team New York for a while there in the 2010s, back to Team Pennsylvania. Of course, you started up, you're the founder and head coach of Modern Day Gladiators too, and the Icebreakers Club wrestling program too before that. So you've got a huge career. Of course, you've, in your other time, you're helping out the Bullets wrestling team. You've been here since 2007-08. You've helped the Bullets go to nationals. We've had 10 national qualifiers, 3 All-Americans, 8 conference champs. And you're also a middle school teacher, teaching social studies at Mechanicsburg Middle School. So needless to say, you've been a busy guy over the last 20 years or so of your life. Talk about this semester in particular, because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in the world out there in regard to COVID, and it impacts wrestling greatly, and it impacts your professional life as well as a teacher.
Yeah, it has been a challenge. I'm essentially taking on 2 full-time jobs at once, and the teaching, ordinarily that wouldn't be too bad, but this year you might as well take our teaching plan books and throw them out the window. We've had to replan all of our lessons. We've had to redesign a lot of curriculum, and because we're doing a hybrid model with face-to-face learning as well as remote, we have twice as much grading to do. We have to grade the face-to-face work, and then we have to grade the remote work as well at school. So it's been a challenge, and taking on the new roles, the roles that I never really had to worry about too much throughout the years with the administrative side to wrestling and the recruiting side. Those were all duties that Andy and Pankeel could work on all day at the office while I was teaching middle schoolers. So, now I'm taking on that role and finding ways to be successful at that. The one thing that's been great, though, our athletic department has been super. It helping me out, giving me guidance. I like to say I can call on them at any point in time for adult supervision with some things that need to be done, and they've been wonderful. And the other thing, too, not only our athletic department, I was able to bring in 2 volunteer assistant coaches. In this COVID year, we don't have, they're not sure about, paying for a coach if we might not have a season. So, but I have friends out there in the coaching world. In fact, Brad Brocious, he has been coaching that Modern Day Gladiators Club with me and Icebreakers. He has been a longtime friend, and we've been coaching together for 20 years. And when I called him up, he was honored to jump on board with us as a volunteer. And then to get some youth in there, I got one of my Modern Day Gladiator Greco-Roman wrestlers. He's in his 20s, and he still competes and trains in Greco-Roman and Jiu-Jitsu. His name's Caleb Weaver, and he's been a competitor for me with the Modern Day Gladiators for about 4 years now. And he's been a loyal athlete, and he joined us as a volunteer assistant as well. So I've got some great help. I've got great people. So that helps the challenge. That helps that out quite a bit.
Yeah, and speaking of great people, we talked about some of the wrestlers you have coming back, and it kind of leads into my next question. Actually, I'm jumping ahead. I wanted to ask you first about your being first year as head coach too. Granted, it's a little bit of a different year, but after 13 years working alongside Andy Vogel, who left to go be the first ever head coach at Hiram to start their men's and women's wrestling programs back up. I believe the men's team actually left for a little while. Now it's back, so he's starting that up. So following in his footsteps, obviously working alongside him for 13 years, and now you get this first year, you're an interim head coach in May. and it's been a crazy roller coaster year so far, but just how excited are you to be, have that mantle of head coach, interim head coach right now?
I'm ecstatic. Honestly, this is something I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be a head coach. And, through the years, I've had, I could have applied for numerous high school head coaching jobs. And I've had people from different school districts approach me, about applying and being a head coach. But I love the college level. I like the college level. And one of the things that I love the most is I would get attached to each incoming class. There would be athletes with each incoming class that you grow attached to, you work with, you spend extra time with. And quite honestly, with each class, building those relationships with a lot of these guys, I didn't want to leave them. Quite honestly, I've got these seniors right now, that, I'm going to miss them when they graduate. And, I've developed good relationships with these guys. And quite honestly, I never wanted to leave the college level. So if you think about it, my wife's entrenched in the area with her job, and they're really, unless you're willing to move to somewhere else in the country, there's not a lot of opportunities. Most of the college coaches around here are pretty entrenched in their jobs. So for me to become a head coach, there was going to be limited opportunities. Something had to open up in this area, or I had to make the decision to go to the high school level. And like I said, one of the big things is I never wanted to leave because of, growing attached to the guys that I've been working with. And a new group comes in, you build that relationship, and it just cycles right through. And it just becomes exciting watching them grow at the college level. So I'm ecstatic. I've always wanted to be a college coach, a head coach. I've always wanted to, put my own stamp on things and, guide the guys, provide some excitement and some energy in the room and just see what we can do. I've always said one of the things I want to do is hang Gettysburg's first ever Centennial Conference Championship banner for wrestling. So we got the guys, the freshmen right now, they're thinking about it. So.
Yeah, we've been the bridesmaid a few times, finishing runner-up and solid third-place finishes, but we haven't captured that elusive title yet. Last conference title for the Bullets coming in the Middle Atlantic Conference in 1976 with guys like Craig Helmuth and Bob Ortenzio leading the way. So
those guys were great. Talk about legends, Bob and Craig. And here's a funny fact for you. Craig Helmuth was one of my volunteer assistant coaches, Caleb Weaver. He was one of Caleb's coaches. So Caleb came into the thing and saw Craig's picture up on the wall in the lobby. I was like, that's one of my high school coaches. I said, yep. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Of course, Craig was national champion in the early 70s, and he has a big picture in the Jaeger Center, which ironically is in the Ortenzio lobby.
Well, Bob Ortenzio was one of the donors to the Jaeger Center. Three-time All-American, I believe. I believe Bob Ortenzio is a three-time All-American, and he does so much to support us. Bob does so many things, not just to support us in wrestling, but to support the college as well. So
yeah, two of our most decorated alums ever, and I'll actually be featuring them later on in the week as well. So we'll have some more info on them on GettysburgSports.com. So, Gino, obviously you're working with a high-risk sport in wrestling, high contact. The NCAA has come out and said it's one of the highest risk sports because of that contact, continuous contact. We're talking about, at least 7-minute wrestling matches, a lot that go to overtime too, of course, really competitive matches. This semester has been kind of difficult to work with this particular sport. I mean, we had a few weeks where we were kind of waiting things out, seeing how the test results go, and then campus dedensified in early September, which most of the upperclassmen left campus. So you were fortunate that a couple of your upperclassmen are around, a couple of your senior leaders, which we'll get into that too. And then, you finally start out practicing training workouts, but it's all got to be non-contact, which is tough for a sport like wrestling. So talk about this semester, what it's been like working with the team and how beneficial it was having some of those upperclassmen on campus too.
Oh, it was great. My two senior captains, Sean Thompson, Mark Larson, they've been great. Ever since they named me head coach, those two, got in contact with me and said, Coach, we realize you're teaching school all day, let us know how we can help. And another, in addition to Mark and Sean, Jordan Panett has been a big help. I consider him a student assistant coach. Jordan has had some concussion issues and has not been able to return to competition. But Jordan's been, he's been at every practice helping me guide the wrestlers in their strength and conditioning. He's been helping me with media, promotion stuff with the Orange and Blue Club. He's helping me with the recruiting video. So I have, Mark, Sean, and Jordan are, the senior leaders that are doing a great job. And it's a shame. I have other great senior leaders. It's just a shame they're at home right now. Trust me, our senior class is very strong. I love all those guys, and they would be doing a great job at helping, at bonding with our younger wrestlers and our new guys. Unfortunately, we don't have all of our wrestlers here, but the ones that we were able to keep, our upperclassmen, have been a big help. Even Kelvin Capet is a junior. He's our only junior, and he's been a big help as well with our guys, and he's stepped up in a leadership role as well.
Hey, Calvin's been great. I had a chance to work with him a little bit with the well-being program because he's a member of SAIL. Always a great time being around Kelvin, one of the most optimistic people I think I know on the Gettysburg campus.
Yeah, and it's been tough because all we've been able to do is strength and condition. But with that being said, the gains that we've made have been amazing. The excitement we've had in that room. I know Mike Hoyt's been helping me with some of the different strength programs. We've been doing an endurance strength training once a week. We've been doing a power lift once a week. And then we've been doing a traditional lift. And a lot of our guys, many of them, in the short time we've had together, have all put up personal bests in some of their lifts already. And then you figure doing that with a mask on and, restricting your breathing on some of our endurance work. These guys are pushing really hard and they're doing a great job. Our guys at home, they have, their strength plans. We have numerous strength plans for them. In some ways, they have an advantage with wrestling because a lot of them can actually train out of their private local clubs if they want to take that risk. If their family allows them to take that risk, there's really nothing that can stop them from doing that. And so some of our guys that are home have actually reached out to their former club coaches, maybe their high school coaches, and they've actually been allowed to train, and they've been able to do some things that we haven't been on campus. So for our remote guys, in some way, they have somewhat of an advantage being able to actually wrestle. But where it's suffering is, I know that they've reached out to me and have talked to me about wanting to bond with the new freshmen and keep that positive team culture that we have. So that's been a hindrance with not having those guys on campus. But we're optimistic that, we're going to get back to the wrestling and keep up our strength development, and we're going to get back on the mats. We're going to stay optimistic and positive and just see what happens moving forward.
And of course, no official announcement has been made about the winter competition season in regard to Centennial Conference action. The only announcement we know is that the sophomores, juniors, and seniors will be back on campus, on the Gettysburg campus, as part of the residential cohort, whereas the freshmen will be at home unless they fill out a waiver and get permission to stay. So that's the only thing we know now. We don't really know anything competition-wise. We're hoping for some news, I believe, in early December 8th, December 15th, somewhere in that range right now. So it's out of our hands. We're doing what we can on our end and hoping things go well. So Gino, from the bad to the good now, a little uplifting moment here. A lot of great moments over the last 13 years that we've been working with the wrestling team. I mean, I can think of some absolutely phenomenal wrestlers I've seen since I've been on the Gettysburg College campus, all of whom you've coached, of course. But I really want to hear what are some of your favorite moments out there involving individuals, teams, and the orange and blue overall.
Oh, there's too many to name. When you're here that long, I mean, the 13 years, there's probably so many moments I'm going to be forgetting about because of all the years. But it's obviously exciting when you're coaching at the NCAAs and our All-Americans. That's excitement right off the bat. Our first year here, Andrew Goldstein gets to the NCAAs and is an All-American right off the bat. So we had a taste of that excitement in our very first year. And that same year, Matt Shank made the NCAAs in an exciting conference title that he won. That was just the epitome of excitement that we experienced in our very first year here. And then, as the years went by, Zach Thompson, he was like a son to me. And I knew Zach since he was 8 years old in Mechanicsburg. He lifted weights in the mornings with me his entire high school career. Zach was a big part of my life. And for him to come down and place third at the NCAAs, and with the exception of that loss, he dominated that tournament. He had 3 pins and I think 3 or 4 pins and 2 major decisions, something like that. It was amazing. He single-handedly put us in the top 20 with his performance that year. And like I said, Zach, I knew Zach since he was a little kid. I helped him at Mechanicsburg all along. And then Paul, you don't know how many days in the room, Paul just knocked me all over the place trying to hand fight and pummel with him. And, and Paul he's exciting. He was the most athletic heavyweight I've ever dealt with and coached. And just to see him become our first ever heavyweight All-American was a lot of fun. Paul was great. Just loved working with Paul. So those moments are there. Kevin Poplaski making the NCAAs. Kevin's another one. He's like a son to me. Kevin worked hard. He wrestled behind Bobby Christopher for a couple of years because Bobby was so talented. And then, boom, Kevin took advantage of his years and made the NCAAs. Like I said, Matt Shank and Colin Kowalski making the NCAAs twice. I feel if Cullen doesn't have that knee injury, I feel he's an All-American, So, those are the big moments. Those are the fun things. But even, some of the team, when we won the Messiah Invitational, that was extremely exciting. I mean, Messiah is a powerhouse. I mean, they've been a powerhouse for years. And for us to put together a formula to get out of that tournament with a team win was great. I enjoyed the year before that in 2016 when we took second at the Petrofis tournament. We really showed up, and one of our wrestlers, it was fun tracking it all day long, was Lou Carasillo winning the most falls and putting all those bonus points on the board for us. So it was an exciting time. But you look back at those moments, those tournament moments. There's been some dual meets where we've pulled upset wins, but honestly, when you think about it from a coach's standpoint, when you work with these guys day in and day out in the room and you're working on techniques and strategies, and when you're sitting there and you finally see them, those come to fruition, and you see those strategies being used and those techniques being used, and the excitement of the guys when they hit those techniques and strategies with success, I mean, that's what coaching's all about. Trying to get these guys to reach their fullest potential. And seeing them, trying to get them to their highest ceiling. And when you see some of the wrestlers reach their potential and make an accomplishment that's the best accomplishment that they're going to make, be it, win over an opponent that had beaten them before, place at a tournament like conferences or regionals, whatever that ceiling is, watching them do that is what's exciting about the coaching. So it's kind of every one of those athletes that you've been working with all these years, just watching them find those successes on the mat is what's exciting about coaching.
Yeah, a lot of great moments. I had an opportunity to talk to most of those athletes you mentioned. Kevin Poplaski had a great junior year, came out senior year. I remember he kept dislocating his shoulders, and then he almost qualified for nationals with 2 dislocated shoulders. He finished 4th at regionals. One of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. And I think he lost in overtime just because he couldn't grab the kid anymore.
Yep. Yeah, I do remember that.
So many great moments out there. Well, looking at the past, we want to look to the future now. You talked a little bit about this too. From your perspective, what you're trying to do with the Bullets wrestling program going forward. Obviously, you're trying to bring in new recruits. You're trying to build what you have. Talk a little bit about the future of the Bullets wrestling program, what you're trying to do.
It's very bright. We have, like I said, we have a strong senior class, and I really hope we're going to stay optimistic that they get their opportunity this year to prove what they can do. Even though our junior class is small, we have some impact players there, some guys that are going to do some big things. Like Ray Martin and Kelvin. Those guys, they've got a lot of talent and they're ready to take over and poised to be leaders next year. Our sophomores, last year, because of injuries and some students studying abroad, different situations like that, our freshmen were thrust into the lineup as starters often. Sometimes we had 5, 6 freshmen starting in those matches. So that class gained some valuable experience, and a number of those athletes just work their tail off. They are committed to being good. They've kept in touch with me in the off season about everything that they've been doing to better themselves. And even last year, they were staying after practice and working on techniques, and we were doing extra Bulgarian bag workouts in the room with a lot of these younger guys, and they're committed. So that class is a big one too, that sophomore class. And I'm really excited about our freshmen. It was nice this fall to get a chance to build a relationship with them, see them, even though they couldn't wrestle, they were generating a ton of excitement together with our strength and our lifts. They were encouraging each other to push themselves, to hit those big personal bests on their lifts. And I think they really bought into a positive team culture that they can't wait to get together with the rest of their team and move forward with this. So the future is bright. We've been talking to a bunch of different recruits, and I might be an extremely experienced wrestling coach, but I'm not an experienced recruiter, and I'm the first to admit that. But one of the things this year that seems to be working well for us is we haven't been able to have the overnight visits, but wrestlers have visited the college, and I've asked some of our other wrestlers to come out with me. And instead of going to admissions and doing a tour, we've been giving the tours. And, usually I have 2 or 3 of our wrestlers and myself, and we've been giving the different potential recruits tours of the campus. I can talk to them about the wrestling, and a number of our wrestlers like Tom Prisco and Jake Dressler, Sean Thompson, Mark Larson, Jed Keegan, they've all come out with me, Luke Kowalski. They've all come out with me to help take these guys on tours, interact with them, show them kind of what the attitude of the team is. And every one of those wrestlers that is applying, that have gone on those little tours with us, because they see how those guys interact with each other. They see how I interact with them. And, I think they get the positive energy from what we're doing. And I think they get a better tour from the standpoint of our student athletes. So it's been a recruiting strategy that I've used because we don't have any overnight visits and things. And it seems to be working for us so far. And among other things, you're making a lot of phone calls and emails and things like that to try to recruit and bring in a good class for these guys to have some good teammates coming in. But anyway, that's it's gonna be a bright future. There's a lot of excitement with everybody, and we just want to get the okay to get back in there and wrestle is what we're hoping for as soon as we can.
Yeah, I can speak for a lot of people on campus and in Adams County, as well as across the country, considering where the wrestlers are from, that we all want to see the Bullets back out there wrestling on the mat behind me. We've actually updated this mat. It looks much nicer and has a big G in the middle, but this still looks good. Gotta love the orange and blue mats as they roll out onto the floor. So we hope to see the Bullets out there again. It remains to be seen for this season. Hopefully we'll have some news in the coming weeks. We know you guys are working hard regardless of what's going on out there. We look forward to seeing the Gettysburg wrestling team back out there. So that's all we have for today's Bullet Sports Spotlight. So for head coach Gino, Frank, I'm Corey Jewett signing off. Until next time.